Hello, you're listening to Cheat Sheet. I'm Wilfred Frost.
And I'm Sophie Ridge. It is Thursday, the 5th of February, and this is what we've got for you.
The Prime Minister facing more pressure following a heated day in Parliament yesterday, where he and his government have been forced to publish papers surrounding the appointment of Peter Mandelson as ambassador to the US.
An email sent by Ghislaine Maxwell appears to prove that infamous photo showing Andrew Mountbatten Windsor and Virginia Giuffre is real.
And we're also going to be talking about US broadcaster Savannah Guthrie's heartbreaking plea for more information about the disappearance of her mother. Yesterday was one of those crazy days in Parliament where we knew it was going to be big coming into it because of this growing pressure on the Prime Minister on the decision to appoint Peter Mandelson as ambassador to the US 18 months ago, despite a lot of questions at the time of whether he should or shouldn't. It surpassed all expectations in Parliament yesterday, and there's a lot of pressure on the PM now.
Yeah, there really is. We've talked a lot about the case of Lord Mandelson. We've talked a lot about the victims. I feel it's really, really important to continue to talk about the victims. But I just want to talk about the politics for a moment, because the politics right now is its danger point, I think is what I would say. Firstly, towards Morgan McSweeney, the Prime Minister's Chief of Staff, the man he's defended. He defended him again yesterday. But there is an awful lot of pressure building on him, and there is an awful lot of murmurings in Westminster saying that he has got to go as a minimum. If you're looking as to what people are saying about the Prime Minister, they are furious. We saw Angela Rayner move against him yesterday to force him to be more transparent about the information that was published. She, of course, is a leadership rival. I am getting messages through from ministers who say, surely this is the beginning of the end for the Prime Minister. And the only question now is who is strong enough to stand up to him. So these are the kind of rebels. These are people unhappy with the PM anyway. But the mood is pretty febrile.
And just to give a bit of context on the likes of Angela Rayner standing up to him in Parliament yesterday. So the Conservatives put forward this motion that was going to force the government to publish all of the vetting documents, the advice they got at the time when they appointed Peter Mandelson, to see if they were short-sighted or not. The government started to move to say, we're going to be transparent, but we're adding this amendment under national security grounds and international relations grounds so that we don't have to publish everything if it compromises, negotiations with the US on a trade deal or whatever. And the stand-up from backbenchers like Angela Rayner was to say, okay, but you don't get to decide what's under these grounds is excluded. A parliamentary committee does instead. And that was a really revelatory moment that the government couldn't get their way. And it's out of their control now what gets published and what doesn't. The police, who are carrying out an investigation in Mandelson, are adding a few of their own caveats. So we wait to see what documents really do come to light versus not. But it's not in the PM's control, is the key point. What's this all about ultimately? How explicit, on paper, formally, were the warnings to the Prime Minister and his Chief of Staff that appointing Peter Mandelson could blow up in their face? That's what this is really all about, and we'll see in the days ahead.
Yeah, and what we do know is that he's admitted yesterday that he knew about the ongoing relationship with Jeffrey Epstein, and also that he'd stayed at this swanky kind of Manhattan townhouse that Epstein has after he knew about his conviction. Everyone will remember the infamous photo of Andrew Mountbatten Windsor and Virginia Giuffre, his arm around her. She, of course, has alleged that he had sex with her. He's denied it, says he's got no recollection of it. But the photo itself appears to be real, according to an email that was sent by Ghislaine Maxwell. He's previously questioned, this is why it's important, he's previously questioned the veracity of the image. He said it was doctored. He's got no recollection of meeting Giuffre. And her family now say that, I guess, that she's been vindicated.
Yeah, and there's sort of full analysis of this on the Sky News website, which is well worth reading, because it's quite kind of complicated how our team and journalists across many publications have analysed to reach this point. But as you say, her family saying it proves she's been vindicated. The only other point I was going to add, which is we're talking about the two most high-profile people mentioned in these files, where every journalist is poring over this release. And each day there's still further revelations. It just gives you a snapshot of the scale of documents here. And each day more comes to light as more analysis is carried out on this enormous cache of documents. And we haven't talked about the situation in Minneapolis for a little while, though the story last week is some of the tension coming out of the situation, most notably when President Trump changed who is in charge of it all, removing Gregory Bovino from being in charge of Border Patrol forces on the ground there, replacing him with Tom Homan. And Tom Homan said yesterday that 700 immigration officers will be removed from Minneapolis. It comes the same day as President Trump used the phrase "softer touch" that he'd like to see used by agents there. That there's still going to be, a big number of agents there, still around 2,000. So it's reducing the footprint by about 25%. But it's definitely a kind of continuing trend of taking some of the tension out. The governor, Tim Walz of Minnesota, of course, you remember, was Kamala Harris's running mate, which speaks to the politicization of all of this in the first place, saying today's announcement is a step in the right direction, but we need a faster and larger drawdown of forces, state-led investigations into the killings of Alex Pretty and Renee Good, and an end to this campaign of retribution. So that's the update from Minneapolis.
Our mom is our heart and our home. She's 84 years old. Her health, her heart is fragile. We too have heard the reports about a ransom letter in the media. As a family, we are doing everything that we can.
So that was the US news anchor Savannah Guthrie posting a video message pleading for the return of her mother, who investigators believe was abducted from her home, and also seeking proof that she's still alive. She was 84 years old.
It's just so heartbreaking. This, she was sitting there alongside her sister and her brother, reading a statement that they'd written together. Just incomprehensible that your 84-year-old mother could be abducted. It's unclear if there has been some form of formal ransom note. Everyone's trying to kind of piece that together from what has been said publicly or not, and whether they know for certain she's been abducted or whether possibly worse has happened. And it's just, the whole of America is captured by this. We haven't mentioned this for a few days. Savannah Guthrie is the biggest breakfast television host in America for NBC's Today Show, of course, a sister company of Sky. I've worked very closely with her. I know her very well. She's a titan of broadcasting and absolutely wonderful and lovely. And your heart just goes out to her siblings, as they desperately wait for more information of their missing 84-year-old mother, Nancy.
It's a really sad day, actually, for journalism, because Jeff Bezos, owner of Amazon, owner also of the Washington Post, has gutted the Washington Post, frankly. He's laid off 300 journalists. He has done it at a time that he's spending millions and millions of pounds, 75 million, I think, on a kind of puff-piece documentary about Melania Trump. And if you look at the state of the world, I personally think it is really troubling when we see these kind of moves in journalism, particularly, you have reports of people reporting in Ukraine and being told that they've been fired. The motto of the Washington Post is "Democracy dies in darkness." And I think that is a big reason why a lot of us go into journalism in the first place. And I think that it is, honestly, I think that journalism is at a crunch point at the minute. And there is a risk of democracy dying in darkness if this trend continues.
I think there's also, this is made worse by the context of it all, which is, just for even deeper context, the Washington Post, of course, home of Woodward and Bernstein. They broke Watergate, the most storied US journalistic institution, particularly when it comes to politics coverage. The other piece of context, obviously, is that Jeff Bezos bought Washington Post in 2013, and that was when he clearly had a different agenda and was stepping in as a benefactor who cared about journalism. He even spoke to Woodward on the newsroom floor the day it was announced and said, you can't shrink your way to profitability and you can't shrink your way to long-term survival. I'm going to invest in this journalistic institution because it matters and because it cares. Now, lots of business leaders and billionaires have seen a big pivot in their political spectrum over recent years, with, as you're alluding to, a lot of them kissing the ring in various different ways. So the added context of this is, well, maybe somebody else would have bought it if you didn't. Maybe somebody else would have taken it on a different path to survival if you hadn't. And I think that adds to people's fury towards what now feels like a shrinkage towards lack of survival, potentially down the line. What I think you'd say, fellow left of centre, I'm not making a big political point, but slightly left of centre news organizations in the US, like our sister company, MS Now, formerly MSNBC, and the New York Times, have seen a massive surge in viewers and subscribers and profitability because they're holding to account the administration that's obviously right of centre. So that missed opportunity for the Washington Post to be thriving, not just standing still, let alone shrinking, has been taken away from them.
Just to end with a bit of positive news, particularly for people in Scotland who are getting an extra bank holiday. And it is all because they have qualified to the Football World Cup.
I love this. So it's going to be on Monday, the 15th of June. The reason being, it's the day after their first World Cup fixture since 1998, which is against Haiti at 2 a.m. on the Sunday. So, A, they deserve this bank holiday. B, everyone wants to be able to get really stuck in and enjoy the first game. C, good luck to them.
Yeah.
Either way, I think it's structured so that they can either drown their sorrows the night before or celebrate the night before, and not have a sore head and go to work.
Exactly. It's a bank holiday for sore heads, which I'm very much in favour of.
Just tempt fate again. We should get one the day after the World Cup final.
Oh, Wilf, please. We can't. I'm really,
After Scotland face England in the World Cup final.
Sure.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Or it might be one of the other home nations. Or it could be Haiti. We shouldn't write them off at this stage.
Thanks for being with us today. Thank you in particular for Fraser Browning for his kind words about the podcast, and Rosamund B as well, who got in touch on Spotify. Let us know what you think.
And tune in tomorrow with Kamali and Anna. Thanks for listening.